Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, November 4th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Real quickly, I do want to remind you to please join me later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. Central. I will be hosting the monthly market outlook for November 2020. We will talk direction for the markets here, the broader market futures especially, and what to look for heading into the end of the year and perhaps even into Q1. We'll also take a look at several stocks that you'll want to have on your watch list as well, and I'll also take your requests. So join me later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. Central. The link to the Zoom webinar is in the description below. Let's take a look here at the ES in the daily time frame. One thing you'll see is price is higher off the overnight lows. It was a very choppy affair though, as price has chopped mostly between 33.25 and 34.25, and we are currently seeing price right at the overnight highs. One thing that's important is this line right there. That's the line we've been talking about from before, 33.83. That was our target yesterday. It got to as high as 33.8275, so it was one tick off that level, and now we are through that level. And as I mentioned before, if price is going to find acceptance through this zone here, it opens up the upper half of last month's range into the highs at 35.38. So for the most part, we could be looking at more upside ahead if price can continue to hold above 33.83. So right now we are still inside this key range here and working toward the upper end of the range. But again, that 33.83 is going to be very, very important. Any failure to hold that zone could lead price right back down toward the previous month's close and perhaps lower. So right now we're still in the range with an upward flow at the moment, but 33.83s remain important. Let's take a look now at the NQ. The NQ also saw strength off the overnight lows. We are near the overnight highs now. This one also broke through the previous week's midpoint. We were talking about the previous week's midpoint before, and breaking above that zone opened up the previous week's high, which we have tested at 11,700, and now we are sitting right at that zone at the moment. Price also pushed through the midpoint of its previous month's range as well. That's 11.6. If it can continue to hold above 11.6, again, it opens up the upper end of the previous month's range into that 12,200 zone. So again, 12,249 would be the upside target there on a monthly basis if price can continue to hold above 11.6. Again, we've had some spikes here that have led to some pullbacks. A spike here that's led to a pullback. This is a big spike up here. Can price hold on to these gains, or do we fail back down? So 11,700 is the previous week's high, and right now we are seeing a test at that zone. If price cannot find acceptance through 11.7, that might be an early indication that we may fall back below 11.6 ahead. So again, keep an eye on that zone heading into the rest of the day. Here's a look also at crude oil. This one's up about 2.25% right now, up off the lows of the previous evening. This one right here again continues to show higher highs and higher lows after that strong rejection at 35s, the strong rejection at the key range low. And as we talked about before, this rejection was likely to lead us to 37.77, which we got. Also to the 38.41s, which is the previous month's midpoint, which we got. And now the next upside target is 40 bucks. That's the midpoint of the key range. You reject this key range low as it did here, you tend to snap back toward the midpoint of that range. So we could be looking right here to 40 up ahead. And again, if price can continue to hold above 38.15, 38.30, that opens up more upside. Any failure to hold 38.15 could open up more of a rotation back below. So right now, still working higher toward 40, but price right now needs to continue to hold above the previous session's close. Lastly, taking a look at gold futures. You'll see gold futures here showing a big rejection here, a failed new low. Price smashed below the previous session's low and then shot back higher. This is a rally that really occurred here over the last couple of hours and has held the previous session's low. So after it dropped below it, it rallied back above it and held it as support and is now back to the previous session's high. It was briefly a bullish outside day. It does already have a buy signal from the wick reversal signal there. And the fact that you have a failed new low inside this tight range here tends to be bullish. It tends to be a very bullish indication that we could be headed higher. Now keep in mind, this market right now is still early in the day. So by the time the day finishes, will we still have this signal? Will we be a bullish outside day, or does it fail? So we still have plenty of day left to decide how this plays out, but the early indication here is for more upside out of gold. The failed new low is bullish. The way that it developed off the previous session's low is strong, and if price can continue to hold above 1900, it opens the door to a test at 1940, as we mentioned before, and really major strength starts to open up above 1940 and 1950. That could lead to not just a month-long move, but it could lead to multiple months of strength. One last thing I'll mention right now, lower value relationship here on the pivot range for the month, and notice how price took the previous month's close bid and is now holding above the top end of that pivot range and holding after that deep test. So that could be an indication of a change of bias, and again, that could lead to more upside down the road. So right now, looking bullish early on, but we got to see how it finishes the day. All right, that is it for now. Again, please join me later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. Central for the monthly market outlook for November. Looking forward to seeing you then. Take care, and I'll see you in the trading room.